Gotcha. Ah, that's better.
ProtectYourBubble.com, proud sponsors of Swipe on Sky News.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up on the show this week, from apps to supercomputers, we take a look at the technology bringing you the weather. Interpreting the data, we find out how the experts put together a forecast. And we've got some of the best apps to keep you a step ahead of the weather. Hello, and welcome to a very British Swipe. We say that because it's all about the weather. We're obsessed with the weather in the UK. After all, it is pretty changeable. Look at this. Stu's been taking a look at the technology allowing forecasters to see what's coming.
The traditional TV weather forecast. It's something we all know well. For some of us, watching it is a part of our daily routine. The maps and graphics you see on channels like Sky News are all created using data from around the world and beyond, thanks to a range of sources on land, at sea, in the air and in space.
The main sort of innovations these days are trying to get that weather data into the computer models in the first place. That is telling the weather model what actually the weather is doing at the moment so that you can get the starting point. So not only is it weather stations situated around the planet, but satellites, and very sensitive satellites these days, measuring all facets of the atmosphere and the oceans.
Time is always against forecasters. They need more data with a higher degree of accuracy, but also the ability to process it quickly. That's where supercomputers like this at the European Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts come into the equation. These machines process 40 million observations every day. The improving technology means forecasters could soon be able to see even further into the future, or if you're cynical, perhaps be wrong with even greater precision.
People are more and more demanding for the weather forecast. We want to predict not just 1 day, 2 days, but 15 days ahead, even weeks ahead. We want to know when the heat wave is going to stop, or things like that, even the season ahead. We've been improving at the moment for 1 day per decade in predictability, which means that our forecast now is, the 7-day forecast is as accurate as the 3-day forecast 40 years ago. So people will feel that.
And of course, the other big change in weather technology is the continuing emergence of new apps and websites that let us choose how and when we access forecasts. This app was created by 2 surfers in Sweden who wanted to have a better picture of when and where they could find the best waves.
It's around like 10,000 weather apps out there. So many sites showing the weather.
You can compare anything today online. When it comes to weather, not so much. No, it kind of pushed us harder in thinking that this is really needed when it comes to weather apps.
When you're putting together a basic, typical weather forecast, what's the starting point?
The starting point, as people might imagine, is to gather lots of data to tell us what the state of the atmosphere is.
Is that what we're looking at here?
This is really all the data points that go into our forecast.
What are all those dots up there?
The dots are measurements all around the world of temperature, pressure, humidity, wind and so forth. We have measurements over the sea as well. We have measurements from aircraft high up in the atmosphere. We also have measurements from satellites looking down, taking photographs of the surface of the Earth.
What are they
This is like the satellite picture that you would see on TV, and it shows how the cloud's evolving, and we can use that in the computer model.
So then how does all that translate into the types of images we see on our weather forecast on television?
Yeah, if we can draw an analogy with someone who is basically maybe in a car driving down the road, perhaps you want to know where you're going to be in an hour's time. The measurement you take for that situation is what speed you're going. It might be 70 miles an hour, so you know in an hour's time you'll be about 70 miles down the road. And so meteorology is a little bit like that, but millions and millions of times more complicated.
Okay, well show me what kind of images you end up with.
So here we have, these plots here showing the state of the surface of the Earth, the soil moisture in the middle at the top. But if we move over from that and show you instead the actual forecast from midnight last night.
Now this all looks a bit more familiar, what we're used to seeing really.
That's right. These are the colours on here show the jet stream. Obviously the UK is in the middle, and the brighter the colours, the stronger the jet stream. So the jet stream is moving from west to east. We run our forecast twice per day. So this is the forecast for midnight last night from midday yesterday. We combine that with all the data we saw on the on the left-hand side of our screens, and then we arrive at this as our starting point for our new forecast. Then we move the forecast forward, like moving the car forward on the motorway. We have a forecast for midday today, and then midday on the next few days, and you can see the jet stream working its way eastward.
Do you think there'll ever be a time when we'll be able to rely on weather forecasts 100%?
No, sadly
Never?
not.
Never?
No, unfortunately not. But we will continue to get better and better and better as we go into the future. So, for example, our forecasts for 5 days now are approximately equivalent to the quality of the forecast that we had for 2 days, maybe 30 years ago. So we are moving forward, and we will continue to do so.
You're watching Swipe. Stay with us. We've got an expert pick of the best weather apps. But first, here's a roundup of some of this week's other tech news. Apple Pay has arrived in the UK. The contactless payment method works with the iPhone 6, 6 Plus or Apple Watch, linked to the bank account you want to pay from. Not all banks are involved though. The tech giant has also updated its iPod Touch with a new camera and Apple Music among the changes. A new test could mean diabetics no longer need to draw blood to monitor their condition. A team at the University of Leeds has come up with a device that measures blood glucose levels using low-powered lasers and nano-engineered silica glass, so there's no need to penetrate the skin. An app could make food shopping a bit easier for allergy sufferers. Food Maestro lets users scan items to find out if they contain ingredients they're allergic or intolerant to. Some of the UK's top allergy specialists helped create the app. Nintendo sadly lost its president this week. Satoru Iwata died of cancer. The 55-year-old led the Japanese video games company through years of growth with its Pokemon and Super Mario franchises, the Wii console, and began Nintendo's venture into smartphone gaming. Planning a day out anytime soon? Don't waste time worrying about the threat of rain. We've got 5 handy weather apps for you, as chosen by T3's Dan Grabham.
Meteo Earth is a really, really well designed app. It's basically a globe that you can swipe through on your phone and pinch to zoom and go into specific locations and view the weather. The weather is sort of mapped on top of the globe, so you can sort of zoom into specific weather scenarios, but it is a bit of overkill if you actually just want to see if it's raining outside. The Met Office weather app, it has got data from 5,000 locations across the UK, and it is UK specific, so you can find out the weather information about any UK location. The good thing about it is you can view UV information or sunset and sundown info as well. There's plenty of detail there, and you can view up to 7 days forecast as well, and you can zoom into weather maps for your location as well. Climendo is a really interesting weather app because it aggregates the data from other weather apps into one place, basically. So you can go onto it and you can see the sort of aggregated information for your particular location and view other locations as well. It's also web-based as well as being an app for iOS and Android, so you can use it at work. Dark Sky is a really interesting app. It answers the key question that we all want to know, and that is when it's going to rain next. You hardly need to open the app because it tells you through notifications and messages basically saying how many minutes it's going to be until it rains next. It's quite clever because you can go to any part of the globe and find out that information as well, and pinch to zoom into particular parts of the globe. It is iOS only and it does cost $2.99, but it is very good. AccuWeather is a brilliantly designed app, but its key feature is that you can get a forecast for up to 15 days in advance. There's all the usual things like a 7-day forecast as well, and a forecast for the next couple of days, but the 15-day forecast really is for use for people like farmers, for example, who want to find out more information for further afield. And it also features it also tells you when the weather's going to change where your location is, so you can find out up to the minute information like that.
That's it. Take a look at Sky News on mobile and iPad for our games review this week. We've got God of War and Godzilla. See you next time. Bye bye.
Gotcha. Ah, that's better.
ProtectYourBubble.com, proud sponsors of Swipe on Sky News.